Hey y'all, this is Allison hanging out my space to craft, and I'm doing another of the prom pages. I'm going to do this one as a 2-page layout using some really old stash. So the background paper is this really pretty butterfly paper. It's Creative Memories. I don't remember the collection it came out of. Maybe Beautiful or Fabulous. I don't remember. I've got a series of 3 photos, and that's approximately the layout that I'm thinking. And I'm going to use this Kiwi Lane large brackets template, and going to create those brackets on either side of the page. And this paper is from like a Valentine's kit because it's got X's and O's on it, which I thought was sweet for the prom couple. And then to help border that, I'm going to add a thin blue bracket underneath it. So I'm doing those a little bit thinner. I do have to fussy cut these. I didn't make you watch that. So putting that bracket away, and I'm just going to do the blue as an offset under it. And I like that contrast, and I like bringing that blue in from her dress. It's sort of the name of the game on these pages because of the vibrancy of that dress she's wearing. And then just trying to pick position for the photos. And I decide to put the ones with her alone on one side and then the other. So I just switched it so that I had a little better layout for a title, etc. I am going to matte this. They're all matted in white. I went and did that off screen because I printed them borderless because I wanted them a little as big as I could get them, really. And then here I'm contemplating, do I need to border all of them? Would I like to put it on a block? I don't like the look of the block because the paper behind it is pretty delicate. All right, now we're going to have some fun, and I'm going to stretch myself to do some mixed media. So I've pulled out 2 blues. I wish I had prize ribbon. I think it would be the correct color, but I don't have prize ribbon. So I'm going to mix these 2. One is blueprint and the other is more of a teal. I'm just trying to get it brighter. Didn't work. So I need more of the blueprint in there. And then I just sketch that on an offcut to check the color against that bright blue. And it's pretty good. But I decide maybe I'm going to try and add a little metallic in there. This does not work. It doesn't show up. I didn't get enough in there. It's okay. I'll get over it. It was somewhat unnecessary, I would say, because you can't tell that there's metallic on there. All right, so I just try and mix some of that metallic. It's not enough. And then just still checking the color. I just wish it was a tiny bit more vibrant, but that's okay. It's an oxide. It's not going to be super vibrant. But I use a brayer because I want to just go over the top and highlight those X's and O's. So, you know, smushing wouldn't do the same thing. And I don't mind the little lines, the little brayer lines where you're starting and stuff. I think that sort of adds to it. I think I'm finished at this point, but I'm not. I do ink the edges in the blue just to bring out that bright blue. And then as I'm doing that, I'm like, oh, that's brighter than I thought it was, especially without the teal in it. So I'm going to do another layer just using that. So there's kind of two colors on there, two variations. And get a little more color. This white is a much brighter white than the background white of the other paper, and that's part of the issue. And so I'm going to tackle that in just a minute. So I'm just doing about less than 1/4 of an inch offset. So you can see that's a little bit brighter. There's some gray in the background of the background paper. And so to remedy that, I'm going to add some gray splatters to these brackets also. Now, what I really should have done is added some, I'm determining if I can cut out some of these butterflies, and I do. I'm just to add them onto the page, help tie the two papers together a little bit better. So what I coulda, shoulda done is add some blue splatters to the background paper. And I thought of that afterwards, so it's not going to happen now, but that's okay. So I pull out my one and only gray. I think is it weathered wood, I think? And I still had some blue in my brush, and so I didn't like the color that was coming out of that. So that's the true gray. You can see the difference there. So I just add some gray splatters to dirty up that paper a little bit. And that works as I needed it to, I think. It helps. So if you guys have watched me, you know I don't do a lot of mixed media. I'm not that good at it. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to stretch myself, at least occasionally. Okay, I've matted all the photos, and I think I'm going to end up double matting that large photo as well. So I've got the little butterflies fussy cut as well, and here's where I decide let's add another pop of blue. So 3 spaces for that bright blue on the page. And then I have these little film strips. They're from a Vicky Bouton print shop, I think. Paper repack. And then I have these little flowers that I pulled out that are from a Ginger's Corner swap, but they're that real pretty bright blue. So I really like adding that touch. I didn't have a lot of ephemera here to add. I had pulled out some Tim Holtz flowers, but I don't like the look of them, as well as those stamped and painted blue flowers. And then I'm looking for a title, and I think we're gonna go simple and do remember over here. I do end up adding something to the other side as well, even though it's still one page. I'm just trying to decide between remember and capture. But I'm going to do remember, I think. And I like this. These are Vicky Bouton, I think. And I'll adjust some things out. And there's some little blue hearts and little blue pluses as well. So I'm just pulling out those sprinkles ahead of time. I had this blue bling, which I love, but it just didn't fit. Most of the bling didn't work, except I'm going to pull out these old Queen and Company little floral blings. So that will be for when I'm finished. Just making a few adjustments here. In reality, I could have used some more of these blue flowers to create a cluster or something under the title. That's the only thing that I feel is maybe missing on the page a little bit. Here I'm trying to look at it and see, does it make sense to move this flower to the bottom? And it didn't for me, because I wanted it on that bracket, honestly. So I think that's where I'm going to land. I am going to pop up the flowers just to give a little more dimension. And then I'll add sprinkles around it. And that little butterfly. And then we'll do a little cluster up here. That's just a little tag that I had sitting out. This says making memories together or something like that. So that's going to be the base for the cluster over here, since that flower is smaller. And I did think about doing another circle behind it in blue, but I didn't do it yet. Maybe I will, but maybe it doesn't need it. I could do a scallop circle behind it, maybe in the blue. So if I go back and look at it and think, that's just blending into that white paper too much, and let's make it stand out better, I might do that, actually, looking at it. And then I'm just adding these they're little black flowers. So they're pretty dimensional. They're pretty neat looking, actually. Probably going to wreak havoc on my page protectors, but whatever. And then, I add little white ones to the center of the flowers, because I could. Because they looked funny. I liked the white ones, but they didn't look right on the paper. All right, here I'm like, am I done? Am I done? No, I decided to add another little, we'll call it a subtitle, between those two little pictures. I think that's sweet. And it fit perfectly. Just adding some black ink along the edges. And I think we're done. We'll do some close-ups. Please give this video a thumbs up. Comment below what you would do differently, or what you liked about the page. And We'll see you next time. I've got a haul coming up.